Well, hello there. I'm Kim Berry, Editor of Food and Drink Business. Welcome to Play, our weekly news roundup, brought to you by GS1 Australia. GS1 is the go-to for all your barcode needs. Head over to gs1au.org and discover next generation 2D barcodes. They're a game changer for food and drink businesses. In the news this week, let's start with the end of last. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese presented the nation with a grand plan for growth and economic security with the Future Made in Australia Act. He prefaced it with a glowing appraisal of Queensland, and apart from thinking parents aren't meant to have favourites, it sounded as much like he was in pre-election mode as he was pre-budget. The elections are loosely earmarked for September next year. So, thank goodness for that early start. Anyway, the PM's speech was heavy on sentiment, light on detail, but essentially the government is going to become a lot more hands-on as the world starts to draw explicit links between economic and national security. I'm not an economist, so that may explain why I thought that was already how things worked. Anyway, the Act will become the overarching framework for a number of programs and commitments that have been made by the government and will be made by the government, but including the $15 billion National Reconstruction Fund. Now, perhaps it's worth noting here that beyond setting itself up, the fund is yet to have spent a cent on industry. And well, next month will mark 2 years since the government was elected, with the fund one of its policies. Anyway, it will also include the $1 billion Solar Sunshot program that was announced last month, the $2 billion Hydrogen Head Start program announced in last year's budget, the Critical Minerals Facility that received an additional $2 billion on its existing $4 billion that it got in last October, and the $189.3 million allocated to establishing the Net Zero Economy Authority over the next 4 years. Look, I'm a complete sucker for a rousing speech that inspires and energises, but as AI Group Chief Executive Ines Willox said, the government, this one and its predecessors, have hardly had a good track record when it comes to delivering on commitments or being particularly agile when plans go awry. So maybe they should just work on that first? I don't know. Vision is good. Vision is good. In other news, Lactalis announced it would close its factory in Echuca and consolidate operations at its Bendigo plant. It said that around $85 million will be invested, though, in upgrading and expanding Bendigo. Accolade Wines has put an offer to the 540 grape growers in the CCW Co-operative in South Australia's Riverland region. It is to buy out their supply contracts, and Accolade is saying it's the only option that allows CCW's growers and Accolade to remain viable. The deal is voluntary and flexible for growers, and Accolade will buy a portion of CCW contracts for $4,000 per hectare for those that are wishing to exit the industry. CCW members will vote on the proposal next month. Alternative proteins think tank Food Frontier released a report this week outlining the need for Australia to embrace production of all types of protein to shore up its food system for the future. Harvest Bee has released its latest range for the food service industry. Bee Strong is a 50-50 blend of beef or lamb with Harvest Bee's plant protein product. The product delivers 30% more protein yield per serve. It also boosts the amount of fibre and it retains the iron and B12 content, but it also halves the cholesterol, total and saturated fat content. And it reduces paddock to plate emissions by up to 46% compared to traditional animal proteins. Harvest Bee's technology produces large pieces of plant protein similar to the texture of meat, and that means it doesn't need the artificial binders or additives that a lot of plant-based meats have traditionally needed. CEO and co-founder Christy Riordan said the cost per serve is also 30% lower than current protein products. They wanted to create the next generation of products to something that addresses affordability, nutrition, and sustainability. There we go. Now, just as Food and Drink Business launched its inaugural awards this year with the Hive Awards, have you bought your tickets? Our stablemate PKN Packaging News has launched its awards program, the PKN Women in Packaging Awards. Entries close at the end of next week, so if your company has someone you know should be celebrated for their awesomeness in packaging and all activities associated with, now's the time. Head to pknwomeninpack.com.au. Also, Food and Drink Business is the official media sponsor for this year's National Food Waste Summit. It's on in Melbourne in July on the 24th and 25th. The program and lineup are impressive, and there's a focus on action, which permeates the whole 2 days. We would love to see you there. I think that'll do. For all these stories and more, head to the website foodanddrinkbusiness.com.au. Remember to subscribe and tell your colleagues. Thanks to GS1 Australia. And with that, I'm Kim Berry, over and out.